Today, I'm talking about this. This is the ALLPOWERS S2000. It's what they call a solar generator. Some people call them power stations. I guess you could call it a battery, but it's a little bit more than a battery, so I think that's probably a bit unfair. Today in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the spec of this, going to go through what it does, and then I'm going to talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff. I've been using this for about 2 or 3 weeks now. They sent me this for review, okay? I'm not being told what to say. Nothing has been scripted by third parties or by ALLPOWERS themselves. I am giving you my honest opinion on this product. So it's 1,500 watt hours, so 1.5 kilowatt hours of lithium ion cells in here. And even though they're lithium ion, they claim that they have up to 2,500 life cycles, which is pretty impressive. I'm not sure how they achieved that with lithium ion cells, because generally the figures quoted around lithium ion cells are more around the 800. So if they're quoting 2,500, even if we go sort of worst case and say 1,500, that's still really decent on the cell side. It's called the S2000, possibly confusingly because it has 1,500 watt hours, but it's called the S2000 because it has a 2,000 watt inverter, mains inverter built into this. It actually can supply 4 times 2 kilowatts of power, so not at the same time, it can't do 8 kilowatts, but each of these plugs can provide 2 kilowatts of power, up to 4 kilowatts surge power. And it has a solar input here via a very standard XT60, which is really nice to see. You can supply up to 70 volts or 18 amps, and the MPPT controller will take care of that for you, so you can use any kind of solar panel, whether it be a kind of camping fold-up solar panel or just an off-the-shelf, plain kind of Renogy style solar panel. The AC input, which is on the back, standard IC mains lead type, kettle lead sort of thing, that can take up to 400 watts. And the car socket here on the front, this is one of the outputs. This is 13 volts at up to 10 amps. You got 4 USB-A sockets here. 2 of those are quick charge 3 sockets, so 5 volt, 9 volt, and 12 volts, up to 3.5 amps, I think, at 5 volts. And then 2 of them are your standard 2.4 amp 5 volt USB-A sockets. And there are also 2 100 watt USB-C power delivery sockets as well. It has Bluetooth capability, which connects it to the app. So you just sort of press and hold that and it turns on the Bluetooth, and then it's really easy to connect via the ALLPOWERS app. And it comes with a water resistant bag of cables. This is the bag of cables that it comes with. It's nice quality stuff. Yeah, we got our XT60 to this allows you to charge it from a car, and then we have the mains cable here, UK in my case, and then we have MC60 to XT60. This is the solar charging lead, so you can take this straight out the back of your plain old solar panel and plug it straight into the front for charging. And this bag, yep, useful zip-up bag to keep those cables in. Oh, it also comes with this, which is a bit unusual. I haven't seen one of these come with this before, but look, it's a waterproof case that the whole thing can sit in, and does it zip up? And no, it velcros up. So obviously that blocks the ventilation, so you probably wouldn't want to use it in the case, but if you're concerned about it, if you need to keep it outside, or you want to make sure it's kept dry, you can pop it in that case. Well, firstly, the first good, it's got really good I/O. You can charge up to 11 things at once with this thing. 4 main sockets across the front, so we've got plenty of capacity there if you need to plug in multiple stuff. I mean, yeah, 2 kilowatt inverter. It's just generally good I/O on this device. It's big, but it's not too big. I think once you get up to kind of 2 kilowatts and above, they really become unwieldy, these things. But with these 2 handles here, it's not too heavy, and you can move it around and sort of place it, just move it about fairly without kind of wrecking your your back or whatever. I think, and most people are going to find this no problem to shift around. This industrial design, so this kind of like, you've got these sort of octagons here. And I actually really like this. I mean, I guess it kind of looks like a battery, doesn't it? But I really like this industrial design. It looks like all this is metal, but it's not. All this is a plastic finish, but it doesn't matter. It feels fine, and also it's strong enough where it needs to be strong. So these handles here, you can lift up this whole thing and support the entire 15 odd kilograms just with one of these handles kind of dangling at an angle. So it's really tough here, really strong where the handles are, and that gives you sort of reassurance that it's well made. The 500 watt solar input. Well, for a battery of this capacity, so 1.5 kilowatt hours, I think 500 watts is good, because if you think about that, let's take into account some inefficiencies with charging, and you can, if you've got your panels going into this that are supplying the full 500 watts, you can get this thing charged from 0 in just over 3 hours, which, given any kind of day probably between March and October in the UK, or in the Northern Hemisphere probably, that's going to be sufficient, and you just need a good sunny day and you can get this thing charged. It's got usable space on top. So it seems like a minor thing, but you know what? It's not. If this is somewhere you can actually put things, I can put my script up here, or I can put my phone up here when I'm charging it. It's actually really handy because, yes, the footprint of this thing is quite big. So having usable space on top of here, a little kind of table, you could even sit on here. You could probably strong enough to stand on, actually, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's probably not recommended by ALLPOWERS either, but you can just use this space, and that's really, really handy. The connections are on the front. Everything except the AC input is on the front. Now, that doesn't matter to me, but I can imagine there are some people out there who want to use this and kind of slot it against a wall or use it in a van and have got limited space, and it's just handy to be able to access everything from the front. You can do combined charging with this. So the solar in is 500 watts, and although the mains in is only 400 watts, you can combine them and do the charge at the same time from both mains and solar. So if you do need to bump up the power on this thing loads in a short space of time, you can get up to 900 watts total input. It's not excessively loud. It is still loud, but as I've learned over the last 6 months of using these type of things, or maybe the last 12 months, mains inverters just are loud. They just have to be cooled down because they're terribly inefficient at what they do. And as a result, heat is generated and you've got to get rid of it, particularly in a case that's full of batteries. This is a test using the S2000. What I'm doing here is charging my electric scooter battery. And it's charging at about 289 watts at the moment from the mains inverter. The only noise I've got is the noise from this, actually, which is the charger for this particular battery here. Even at 289 watts, this has been running for about 15 minutes now, so 289 watts on the mains inverter. The ALLPOWERS S2000 has not kicked in the fan. It's not making any noise in this sort of ambient temperature in the room of about 20 degrees. I haven't had the fan come on at all for any DC stuff. The display on the front, it provides the information you need. It's nice and clear, pretty sort of stock stuff, you know, what input is, what your output is, how much time you've got remaining, whether it's charging or not, percentage remaining. Standard stuff. No, not too much information, but it gives you what you need to know. It's got nice quality accessories. There's stuff that comes with it. The cover, the bag, the waterproof bag, the cables themselves. The cables are 12 AWG and 14 AWG, which just gives me reassurance that they're good quality cables up to doing the job. Now, they probably need to be for the 500 watt solar input. They need to be 12 AWG for the kind of current that will be going down there. I don't know. I mean, that's not my area of expertise really, but they are good. They seem like good quality cables, because I've seen some real junk come with products, you know, where they just cheap out on the accessories and the cables, but they seem to be quite good with this. And it has a UPS feature. Now, it isn't documented, but I've tested it and it works. So if you have something plugged into the mains and it's on the AC, you can just turn off the AC and it will just carry on going on the battery with no delay at all. Now, they claim on the S2000 Pro that has a UPS feature, so not an EPS, so to make the distinction, a UPS is uninterruptible, i.e. the downtime between switching off and it switching over to battery is small enough that you can use it on pretty much anything. Is it EPS, emergency power supply? The downtime will be potentially a little bit longer, so they'll say, yeah, you might not want to use this on like computers and stuff. But I did try this on a computer. Let's have a look how it went. Can you turn the mains up? Can you just turn the smart plug off for me? Let's see whether it'll do a smooth switch over it, because I don't think it's designed for this, but let's see what it does. This might mess your game up, by the way. Okay.
I'm just gonna. I'm not in the game.
No. Okay. Fine. Let's see what it does. So just turn off that plug.
So.
Yep. Oh, nice.
Wow.
Perfect.
That was sweet.
What about the bad side? Well, there's no 5521 DC outputs. Again, that's just a personal thing. I use those for loads of stuff, from battery charging to lights to cameras. And 5521s are really important. That's just your standard DC, normal DC plugs and sockets. And I would really like some of those on this device, but there's none of those at all on this. Bit of a shame. And it's only 400 watts AC in at the back. So most of these sort of devices, you might be kind of used to being able to charge them a little quicker over just AC. But 400 watts is going to take you a bit of time, and that's all it'll do. Maximum 400 watts on the AC input. The app is a little bit pointless. It doesn't really do much. If all you need it to do is give you charge information, then fair enough. But I'd like it to do a little bit more. If you look at a competitor like EcoFlow, their app allows you to do all sorts of things. You can change settings about the maximum charge rates and AC input rates, and you can obviously control all the outputs completely separately from each other with the app, and it gives you kind of time graphs of the solar input, and there's just a lot of good information in the app. On this, it does it'll turn the AC inverter on and off. The DC stuff kind of is a bit glitchy and doesn't really work properly, and there's nothing else you can do with it apart from see the charge status and the solar input at that particular moment. So the app, just a bit lackluster. It doesn't really do much. The main sockets on the front here, now I don't know how much of a concern this actually is, or how much of a valid concern it is, but in the UK, we have a standard on main sockets, which is BS1363, and it's a really kind of well-known standard because it's extremely safe and it's a very, very good design, whereby when you put the earth pin in, the earth pin's a little bit longer, it comes in contact with a little plastic bit, which pushes down and opens up these two, the live and neutral pins, live and neutral points here. These on here, it has no earth at all. And I mean, that's probably fine for a completely isolated device, but you can just poke a screwdriver in these, and there are plastic hatches over the live and neutral, but it will just open up if you plug a screwdriver into here. Now, they might be fine with that. They might get away with that because of the fact that you can totally isolate this by turning the AC inverter off, and this is only live when you make the choice to turn this on. It's not like a kind of mains solution in a house, which is always live, as it were. So that might not be a problem, but other devices that I've used have better main sockets on them, and these just seem like they've kind of taken sockets from other countries and just fudged them to work with UK sockets, work with the shape of a UK plug. The battery calibration, as is quite common with these devices, isn't perfect. It arrived at 0%, which is a little bit worrying. And I've charged it up, got it up to 100%, and now when I charge it, it gets up to 100 pretty quick and then just keeps charging at 100 for ages. I get the feeling that it's got this band at 100%, which just sort of isn't really 100%, but it just says it is. So I'm not quite sure how accurate the percentage is, and I can't find anywhere online. I can't find a way online of actually resetting it or recalibrating it. I suppose maybe it just requires multiple discharges and recharges. That tends to be what they say, but I find that a pretty inefficient and crazy way of doing it. I just like to get an accurate percentage across all these cells. Maybe that's really difficult to do. I don't know. I've really found too many devices that do that well at all. Just going back to the main sockets again, because of the design, because everything is on the front here, the sockets kind of, you can put certain plugs in. If you put plugs into here, they will be blocked by, like, for example, this rubber seal. And if you put a plug in here, the cable's going to come down, and if it's a big adapter or something, it's potentially going to completely block the display. Same with this one. The way they're designed, usually they're designed sort of outwards like this. So you might have them down here pointing outwards from the side, or this way. But with them all going down, either the plugs are fouled by other things, or the other stuff fouls the plugs, if you know what I'm saying. So they're not perfectly designed because they just get in the way of stuff. There's no expansion on this. You can't plug it into any external add-on batteries. You know, usually with these kind of things, you might be able to buy an add-on battery which will bump it up to kind of 3 kilowatt hours or maybe 4.5 kilowatt hours if you plug 2 in. There's no expansion on this at all. It is what it is. So if that's all you need, then it's absolutely fine. But just be aware there is no expansion capability on the S2000. And finally, I suppose the lithium-ion chemistry. It might put some people off. Everyone seems to be more keen on lithium-ion phosphate these days. But they're claiming up to kind of 2,500 cycles on these, which for something with this capacity is absolutely fine. I really don't have a problem with it. Lithium-ion comes in, it's lighter, and yeah, it's not a problem at all for me personally. So whether that matters to you and whether you're insistent on getting these few thousand extra cycles, if you think that you're going to use a device so much that will be a problem for you, then yeah, you'll probably have to pay maybe a little more and go with a more current device using lithium iron phosphate cells instead. So there we are. There are my bad points. Another probably 9. I think there were 9 bad points in total, 10 good points. Not too bad. It's a thoroughly capable device. In conclusion, yeah, I mean, it's got a 2 kilowatt inverter. It's got loads of I/O. It is a solid choice, and the price is in line with what you would expect to pay for a battery of this type. But the price generally comes in at about £1 per watt hour, or $1 per watt hour, and this matches that. So it's 1,500 watt hours. It comes in at about £1,500. I feel like the overall build quality of some of the competitors' products are a little better than this. If you, for example, look at if you go with an EcoFlow product and you look at the build quality of those EcoFlow products, they are superior. The main sockets are superior. The buttons are superior. Just most aspects of it are superior to this, in my opinion. And if the app matters to you, if accessing controls via the app and all that matters to you, and also remember this is Bluetooth only, it's not accessible via the internet, so if you're away from home you can't do anything with it, whereas you can with an EcoFlow. The app is much, much better on the EcoFlow. So if the app's important to you, maybe this isn't the one for you, but if the app's not important to you, don't worry about it. But if you need a portable, high-capacity battery and you want all your ports on the front, because again, I stress that's probably going to be quite important to some people. If you do need that, then this is definitely worth a look. I'll put links in the description, as I always do. If you'd like to click on those, then that will support the channel, but it's entirely up to you. Thanks very much for watching, and if you've got any questions at all, put them down in the comments, and I will try to answer them within 24 hours, if I know the answer. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.